Basically, it's a tournament where all the best players in the world from different countries and everything come in the same room and play the game that we all love.
I am Jace Belair.
And I am Stoneforge Mystic.
It's just a really amazing game.
It's just mind-boggling to even think about.
I guess the rest is history.
I'm at the first annual Cincinnati Charity Open supporting Food for Africa. It's a good charity, a pretty good turnout today, and doing a lot of good things.
This event was like the brainchild of Taylor Gunn, and he wanted to try to throw a tournament to raise money, and he asked us if we would kick down some store credit or something, and we said yeah. So we kicked down some store credit, we set up a booth as a vendor, and it's pretty awesome.
Last year he shaved his head, but he thought that it would be better to have a Magic tournament than shaving his head this year.
I work for Paul Mitchell, the schools, and every year our school system raises money for various charities. We raised $1.2 million last year. The school I work in raised $37,000, and so I just do my part for that, and I do what I can. And this is my way of doing it this year. I hope to do it again next year. All right, gentlemen, here we go. Here we go for the raffle. All right, big time, big time.
There's a lot of decks that are good that even share colors and share a lot of the same cards, so it probably feels a lot less open than it is. But you can really have a lot of diversity in all those decks rather than, 71 out of 75 cards all being the same.
If the format wasn't good, the format would get stale very quickly because there's so many tournaments. That's probably why they banned like the Jace and the Stoneforge last season. But this one, like, decks change from like week to week. I think it's one of the best in years, many years.
It's gotten a little bit stale, but I think when Dark Ascension comes out, it's going to toss it up, and it's going to take months for people to figure it out again, so I think it's good.
Before the spoilers were released, like literally the night of this card getting released, I was like, man, I've been so pissed that we have not had Basilisk Caller in Standard. It's because I just missed that card with like Grim Lavamancer, and it just made Pure Steel a deck, and without that card, Pure Steel is just not a deck. And they spoiled Vault of the Archangel, which doesn't really do anything for Pure Steel, but is like they basically made Basilisk Caller again, which made me pretty happy.
My favorite card from the set is Faithless Looting, because I think that it's going to definitely enable all the graveyard strategies come the expansion, and it's got a lot of eternal applications. And then the other two that are kind of catching my eye, there's the Grafdigger's Cage, which everyone's crazy about right now, and then there's was a Gravecrawler, the 2/1 that comes back from the graveyard. So all those guys they have really good power level for what they cost, and they're going to have applications in every format.
The Lich that lets you recur creatures from your graveyard, I think that's an interesting card, and it gives a unique effect. So it could be really powerful in Standard. And I mean, the card that everyone is talking about in a positive way is Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, and I think that card is going to be really powerful in Standard. I think it's really going to push that black-white tokens archetype, and I expect to see that on top for a while.
He's just the most badass planeswalker ever. He just looks so cool. His effect's awesome. He's the only planeswalker to ever just make an instant emblem. So I think it's going to be really interesting.
Just an instant emblem like that, to be able to drop him, and then it almost fogs for a turn because he provides such a threat that you can't let him sit there long enough, because then he's just going to emblem again, and then that's such a good value off of a token deck.
Being a 4-mana planeswalker that can protect himself, has a relevant -2, giving you an emblem right away. Like, I'm not going to say it's going to make black-white tokens viable, but I think it might put it on the map.
In the spectrum of finance, not much is going to change. Right now, I think things are stabilizing from when they introduced mythic rares, and people's reactions to spoiler cards is starting to tone down a bit. So instead of them just going crazy and just spending lots of money on mythic rares and jamming the price up, the mythic rares are now becoming more reasonable. So from that perspective, I don't think anything's going to change. From a metagame perspective, definitely there's going to be some changes with the tokens deck and some other things like that.
The one card I know from Dark Ascension is Grafdigger's Cage. Everybody's like saying it's going to be the end and it's going to change vintage. I just don't think that a random 1-cost artifact is going to be that important in vintage. Even with Trinisphere, which was a big deal, you still had to have Workshop Trinisphere to make it like awesome, so everybody started to play Workshop decks. But I think there's still going to be a lot of viable graveyard strategies, even though that this card exists. So like the sky is not falling in my world.
You really have to admire some of the flavor moves that they did in this set, like the Lost in the Woods card, where a creature attacks and you reveal the top card if it's a forest, and the creature gets removed from combat. Like, that's just insane flavor, So I like that kind of stuff.
The Midnight Haunting that flashes back is just another phenomenal card that's going to change the way people play. The classic Blue-White Delver deck can't beat 4 tokens or whatever very easily. So I mean, things are going to be changed. Whether or not they're, better or worse, it remains to be seen. I mean, if it gets much better, it's going to be probably one of the greatest standard formats of all time.
It's great. I've had so much fun with it. There's so many different decks out there. It makes sideboarding so hard, and getting your little tweaks for your deck to play against the other decks. And no, it's not Caw-Blade, that's for sure.
And I think it'd be great if there was some more people here, some new faces. But hey, I like the casual atmosphere.